Stop right there. Do you actually know what happens to your money, your house, and your kids if your marriage ends? Most people think they do, but they're dead wrong. The mistakes I'm about to reveal have cost people their life savings, their homes, and even custody of their children. Whether you're engaged, married, or going through a divorce, what you don't know can absolutely destroy you financially. I'm going to expose the legal truths and critical mistakes that could cost you everything.
Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into United States marriage and divorce law. About 40% of marriages end in divorce, and most people enter both marriage and divorce proceedings without understanding their basic legal rights. This ignorance costs them dearly.
We're going to cover the legal rights you automatically get when you marry, what actually happens in divorce court from start to finish, and the common mistakes that turn difficult situations into absolute nightmares. By the end of this video, you'll have knowledge that could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of legal battles.
When you exchange wedding vows, you're entering a legal contract that immediately grants both you and your spouse specific rights and obligations under state law. Most couples never discuss these implications, and that's the first mistake. Understanding what you're agreeing to legally is just as important as understanding your emotional commitment.
The United States operates under two distinct property systems. 9 states follow community property laws: California, Texas, Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, Idaho, Louisiana, Washington, and Wisconsin. In these states, almost everything earned or acquired during marriage belongs equally to both spouses, period. It doesn't matter whose name is on the paycheck or title. Your income is their income. Your debt is their debt. The remaining states use equitable distribution, which doesn't mean equal, it means fair. Courts have discretion to divide property based on each person's income, earning potential, contributions to the marriage, both financial and non-financial, who sacrificed career opportunities, and who was the primary caregiver for children. This flexibility can work for or against you depending on your situation. Before marriage, you can create a prenuptial agreement. Here's where people make major mistakes. They either avoid prenups completely, thinking it demonstrates lack of trust, or they create hastily drafted agreements that fail in court. A prenup isn't about planning for divorce, it's about honest conversation about finances and protection. These agreements can protect assets you bring into marriage, safeguard family businesses or inheritance, and establish what happens to future earnings. For a prenup to hold up in court, both parties need independent legal representation. There must be full financial disclosure with no hidden assets. The agreement cannot be grossly unfair, and it must be signed well before the wedding. Violations of these requirements can void the entire agreement. Every state now permits no-fault divorce, meaning you don't have to prove your spouse committed adultery or abuse. You simply state that the marriage is irretrievably broken. However, some states still recognize fault-based grounds, and proving fault can sometimes influence property division or alimony awards. Here's a mistake that trips people up constantly. They confuse physical separation with legal separation. Just because you're living in different houses doesn't mean you're legally separated. You're still married, which means debts your spouse incurs might still become your responsibility, and income earned is potentially still marital property. Legal separation is a formal court process that creates legal structure addressing property, support, and custody without ending the marriage. The divorce process begins when one spouse files a petition with the court outlining what they want regarding property division, support, and custody if there are children. The other spouse must be properly served with these papers according to strict legal procedures. You typically cannot serve your spouse yourself. The served spouse then has a limited window, usually 20 to 30 days, to file a response. Missing this response deadline is catastrophic. If you fail to respond, the court can enter a default judgment, essentially giving your spouse everything they requested without your input. People lose their share of marital assets, retirement accounts, and even custody rights simply because they ignored court papers thinking the problem would go away.
Once both parties are before the court, discovery begins. This is where each side discloses assets, debts, income, and expenses. Discovery involves written questions you must answer under oath, requests for documents like bank statements and tax returns, and depositions where you answer questions with a court reporter recording everything.
This is where people make financially devastating mistakes. Some try hiding assets by transferring money to relatives, opening secret accounts, or undervaluing property. Courts have sophisticated methods for uncovering hidden assets, including forensic accountants and subpoenas to financial institutions. When caught hiding assets, consequences are severe.
You might lose your entire share of the hidden property, be ordered to pay your spouse's attorney fees, face contempt charges, and potentially even criminal perjury charges. Child custody often becomes the most emotionally charged aspect of divorce. Courts make custody decisions based solely on the best interests of the child, not the preferences of parents. Factors include each parent's ability to provide a stable home, the existing relationship between each parent and child, any history of domestic violence or substance abuse, each parent's willingness to foster the child's relationship with the other parent, and, if the child is old enough, their own preferences. Parents make critical mistakes during custody battles, bad-mouthing the other parent to children or on social media, involving children in the conflict, refusing reasonable visitation, and attempting to alienate the child from the other parent. Courts view these behaviors extremely negatively because they harm children, and engaging in them can seriously damage your custody case.
Physical custody refers to where the child physically resides. Legal custody refers to decision-making authority about major issues like education, healthcare, and religious upbringing. You can have joint legal custody where parents make major decisions together, even if the child lives primarily with one parent. Modern courts increasingly favor shared arrangements when both parents are fit.
Child support is calculated using state-specific formulas, considering both parents' incomes, number of children, custody arrangements, healthcare costs, and childcare expenses. The parent spending less time with the children typically pays support to the other parent. Some people quit their jobs or deliberately reduce income trying to avoid support payments. Courts aren't fooled. They can impute income, meaning they calculate support based on your earning potential, not your current deliberately reduced income. Additionally, child support obligations don't automatically pause if you lose your job. The obligation continues until you formally request a modification from the court. Unpaid child support can result in wage garnishment, seizure of tax refunds, suspension of licenses, and even jail time. Alimony or spousal support is separate from child support and designed to help a lower-earning spouse maintain something approximating the marital standard of living. Not every divorce involves alimony. Courts consider the length of the marriage, each spouse's income and earning capacity, age and health, contributions to the marriage, including homemaking, and whether one spouse supported the other through education or career development. Rehabilitative alimony provides temporary support while the recipient spouse gains education or work experience. Permanent alimony is less common but may be awarded in long marriages where one spouse has limited ability to become self-supporting.
For divorce agreements executed after 2018, alimony is no longer tax-deductible for the payer or taxable income for the recipient.
During divorce proceedings, emotional decision-making becomes incredibly expensive. Fighting over items with little monetary value but high emotional significance drains finances in attorney fees. When your lawyer charges $300 to $500 per hour, arguing over furniture can cost more in legal fees than the furniture is worth. Pick your battles strategically.
Separate property includes assets acquired before marriage, gifts given specifically to one individual spouse, and inheritance received by one spouse. However, separate property can transform into marital property through commingling. If you deposit inheritance into a joint account and use it for household expenses, you've likely converted it to marital property.
Uncontested divorces, where couples agree on all major issues, can finalize in a few months. Contested divorces involving significant assets or custody disputes can drag on for years. Many jurisdictions require mediation before trial. Mediation involves a neutral third party helping you negotiate agreements, and this process is almost always faster, cheaper, and less stressful than trial.
Some people refuse reasonable mediation offers, insisting on court. They spend tens of thousands in attorney fees, endure months or years of stress, and create public records of their personal lives. After all this, they often receive an outcome similar to what was offered in mediation. The unpredictability of putting major life decisions in a judge's hands usually makes settlement the wiser choice. You now know more about marriage and divorce law than most people learn even while going through the process. This knowledge isn't about being cynical, it's about protecting yourself, your assets, and your children by making informed decisions. The mistakes we've covered have cost people their homes, retirement savings, and custody of their kids. Remember, laws vary significantly by state. This video provides general legal information, not a substitute for personalized legal advice from a qualified attorney. If you're facing marriage or divorce issues, consult with an experienced family law attorney. If this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment telling me what legal topics you want covered next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.